roughly about 3 weeks ago, we did our first video, actually 3 weeks to the day. And on that video, we introduced each other to our vast audience. So today is the second video on this ongoing project that we are trying to put together. And actually, this is what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, discussing the character of the show, what would be the main focus, and also how long it'll be, and things of that nature. So it's been quite an enterprise dealing with all of these things. And I know in the first video we had problem with the sound. My voice sounded really in the background, and hopefully this time around will be a little better. One of the things we've been discussing is which subject to pick, and we have so many. It is almost inexhaustible. It's a never-ending supply of resources, and that puts a strain on what we want to do here. As I was telling Jake the other day, the subject of gun control, the subject of immigration, the subject of what was the other one? And I know I mentioned a few items, and they will always be there. It doesn't matter what else is going on in the country. There will always be a need for addressing any of these particular issues, especially when there is a tragedy in a school or some kind of shooting somewhere. The subject of gun control raises to the surface. But again, I think that will be the case with almost any aspect of life. What do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every time that you have any shootings or anything like that, it's always the hot button issue, and the media, the lefties especially, love to grab a hold of whatever they can and cram it down your throats, and that's the moment when they do that. So yeah, and as you were saying, we were trying to come up with the topic and with the wonderful uprising of Comrade Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. I think that's the hot button issue right now that we need to cover. And one of the things, as you were saying, is the target of our show, the target focus. And you've got all these shows where they're trying to just rally people. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to try to hit is informing the uninformed. You know, there's so many people who come up to you with something that's been going on for 2 years, and they don't know step one of it. You know, somebody at work the other day says, like, what's with the whole Russia and Trump thing? And I said, which part? And they had no idea. It's been a 2-year running thing, so you have to try to cover that in a quick thing. So this will help inform people. This will help. You know, obviously we're going to have our opinions. We're going to have our points of view on it. So it just, that's the aim. So I think right now the big fear is, and you'll get it anywhere from 40 to 50 to 60, depending on who you hear, but 40 to 60% of the millennials are starting to say socialism sounds like a great thing. And I think that's why we need to explain to them why that's stupid. And you know, it's hard when you're trying to explain to somebody who plays video games and eats Tide Pods for a living that socialism is not a good thing. People taking your money so that they can pay for whatever they want to pay for is not a good thing. And it sounds great that you're going to be on Cupcake and Ice Cream Island because you just want to have my money and spend it any way you can. But there's never been a government that's worked on true socialism. There's never been any example, and they love to put the Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries of, well, what about them? They're doing so great, but they're really not. And if you do the research and you look into it, they're getting out of that. The right is starting to come back. America's floating their bills, so we're paying for some of their expenses so that they have the right to not pay for their expenses and float that money where they want to.
So, yeah, as you so eloquently stated at the beginning of your statement, this is what we want to do. We just don't want to come here and just repeat what others are saying.
Right.
in their respective show. I mean, regurgitating what they're saying, because that would be self-defeating. But at the same time, we have to cover all of these issues with our own perspective, if we have one, because sometimes you don't have a perspective in a particular issue, and then you might as well leave it alone and move on. But like I said, she's a 26-year-old New Yorker,
Right.
who was selected in the primary to be the candidate of the Democratic Party for what position?
She was going for the House.
For representative, and obviously Mrs. Ocasio-Cortez is way out of the mainstream. It is unbelievable that somebody so young is so misinformed, and she characterizes herself as a socialist. Isn't that the case?
That is the case, yeah. Well, democratic socialist, because all of a sudden now we're hitting this moment where they realize that communist is a terrible word. They can't use it. Socialist is still kind of an iffy word. So they tag democratic on there because Democrat sounds pretty, sounds nice. But when it comes down to it, when you actually do the research into what they feel versus direct socialism feels, it's the same thing. You're putting just a fancy little spin on it, and then that way you can bring these people in and say, oh no, that was bad socialism, this is good socialism. It's the same thing. We want to take away their money so we can give it to you. And our country is not based on that. Our country won't work that way. All these other countries that everybody likes to point out, that's like trying to say that this building is going to have a place where our tenants can get together and we're going to decide what we need to do, versus this city is going to do that. And it could even work for a city. But our country is too vast, our country is too big, and it's too diverse to work in that way. And we're not set up for that. We're not equipped for that. So it's not going to be a situation where look what they did, we can do it better. Because you have the state to state, and that's what irritates me is everybody, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. And the republic does that because majority rule, mob rule doesn't work, it never has. And even going into socialism, if you look back when the Pilgrims first came over, and they did the common good. Everybody's going to harvest the grains, everybody's going to put the food in. You put the food in, you take the food out. Well, then they started saying, like, you don't work, you don't eat, which came from a pretty famous book, the Bible. But once people stopped working and kept drawing food, after a while, other people started saying, hey, that's no good. I'm keeping my food. I'm out of here, and they survived better. And that's what our country is based on. You have the opportunity to eat. You have the opportunity to feed masses. And if you can put money in your pocket for doing that, that's a great thing. So for them to say, the government's going to take it all and we'll give you what you deserve, good luck with that. I don't think that's going to be such a wonderful thing that you think.
But going back to the starting premise with Ocasio-Cortez, if this is the kind of candidate that the Democrats are presenting to the electorate in the next, let's say, the congressional elections or even in the general election 2 years from now, what do you think the future of the Democratic Party paints?
It's great for me because I'm not a Democrat. And it's also, here's the other thing, they're so out of touch because, and the media is creating this. Whether they want to sit here and get all upset, and who was it the other day who was crying at, what's her name, the press secretary?
Jim Acosta?
Yes. And, well, we're going to sit here and just nail you with everything. Toss up the softballs and give hugs to all of the Democrats, but the Republicans, you're all evil. So now we have to go and tell everybody, but, you should listen to them. Well, what they're doing with this girl is they're putting her up on their shoulders and saying, look, she's our hero, this is what everybody wants. And as soon as she gets on there and she opens her mouth and makes a complete idiot out of herself, then they just go, oh, no, here's what you meant, honey. Well, that's not going to work in a debate. So she goes out there on The View, which I only catch The View when something funny happens. Who's the red-headed girl that looks like
Joy Behar?
Yeah. She loves her. Oh my goodness, she loves her, which right there should show you that it's a terrible idea for America. And she steps up there, and this girl is just sitting here, just explaining why socialism is so wonderful, and we've got to take away the power from the people who are in there. And the problem is, once you get these people into power, it's so hard to get them out. Well, that right there should be your red flag. Once we get these people in here who are going to start telling you how you can live. You want to eat food? Here's what you're going to eat. Look at the Michelle Obama lunch system. That's going to be for America. You want free food? Well, that's what it is. It's the garbage your kids were throwing away because they wouldn't eat it. And so she's up there. Okay, you put these people in power, it's going to be hard to get them out. So, and now we've got the youth who are so in love with socialism. These are supposed to be the Democrats, which are, we're the rebels. We're the people who don't care what you want to say. We want to wear our hair funny. We want to do this. But we also want a government who's going to tell us exactly how to live. They don't think it through. You know, you're dealing with the youth of the nation who doesn't think for 5 minutes of what tomorrow is going to bring. But today it feels good, and today that's what I want. But tomorrow I want to have a government who's going to tell me every step of the way what I can and can't do.
Actually, with the Democrats saying all these lunatic things about all kinds of issues, it's really painful to watch, you know, because it is really beyond the point of distress to contemplate a country which relies in public servants that hold to this kind of views, you know, in so many issues, and it's really sad. I don't really know what the political landscape will be a few years from now, but it doesn't promises to be a very good one. And I think it's more prominent in the Democrat side, but even some of the Republicans are getting into the fringes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, the left is sitting here trying to explain how wonderful everything's going to be if we run it that way, and they'll tell you that, like, oh, we've already got socialism because look, we're paying for schools, look, we're paying for the post office, and we've got this, that, and the other, and they've got all kinds of things that they want to put out there that's a wonderful thing, but they don't realize that it's the free market that's driving that. The post office isn't that great until you've got competitors such as FedEx, UPS. These guys are stepping up the bar and saying, like, well, we can get it there and we can get it there faster. You do everything else the government way, and it's like comparing going to the DMV versus going to your favorite store, and there's 500 options of what kind of bottle of water you want to drink. Versus get in this line. If you're in the wrong line, sucks for you. Get out. You know, you're done. That's the way things are going to run. If everybody thinks that you're going to walk into a government-ran building and they're going to say, oh, everybody wants us to paint colors and everybody wants us to look happy and bright, we're not doing that, because you have to do what we want. You have to take it the way we want it. And I don't know about you, but our living expectations are different. Everybody is different. And if it's ran by the central government, it's going to be what they claim.
Well, as you know, the Democrats are centered in four major issues, topics: immigration, gun control, abortion, and voter ID. So in each one of these particular topics, they are really way off. Which one of those four topics would you like to address first? Gun control, immigration, abortion, or voter ID?
Well, I think we kind of covered the immigration on the last video. You know, and as you said before, you could go on and on with any of these. To be honest with you, I know I'm wearing the gun hat. I know I'm wearing all this stuff. So let's go there, quite frankly, because as much as abortion is a huge issue for me, because it's not about freedom, it's about life or death. But let's go with the gun control, just based on this socialist government. So the problem is, everybody always talks about the linear governments, or however you want to put it. So you've got communism here, you've got a sprinkling of other things, then you've got our middle government of what we are, and then you've got fascism. But that's not the case at all.
No.
It's a wedge. You've got the government totalitarianism versus anarchy. And there is no anarchy, no such thing. It can last for a split second, but there will always be someone to rise from the ashes. Then over here, you've got the single person who runs everything, the dictatorship and stuff like that. And that truly doesn't exist for the simple fact that one person doesn't run anything. Hitler didn't run, Germany by himself. Hitler had people with him. Stalin didn't run Russia by himself. He had people with him. It was an oligarchy. But the way that all these people win, the way these people move in, is they have to take away your guns. It's a self-defense sort of thing. And everybody who steps in here with the Second Amendment and claims that, oh, it's about hunting. Well, it's not about hunting. You have to do research. You cannot just listen to what other people say. You cannot just put it into the perspective of what we see as today. And everybody says, well, do you fear your government? And I say no, because I've got a gun.
That's right.
Are you afraid they're going to come knocking on your door? Well, they could, but right now I've got protection. My neighbor's got my back. You've got to start trusting people. You can't say that, oh, there's been a shooting, so we need to take away all guns. Well, there's been a car wreck, but nobody's going to come in here and tell you you need to go back to school to learn to drive. But in that situation, I've had people in the past who said, I don't feel comfortable with a gun, but I'm glad you have one. And it's just, to me, it's just such a no-brainer. It's hard to even bring up all of the anti-gun rhetoric because it's almost laughable to me. All these people who sit here and try to make it all about like all guns shoot everybody. It doesn't happen that way.
But could you explain a little bit further, especially on the gun control thing, especially with the new 3D printing, as they call it on the news? 3D printing is a process by which basically anyone could get drawings for a particular style of gun and buy one of these 3D printing machine and print one of these guns. When somebody does that, what is it that he is getting? He's getting a full functional weapon, or what is it?
No, see, that's part of the problem. It's just like with these invisible guns, these plastic guns. So printing, when Glock came out, the big hysteria of the fact that it was the plastic that wasn't metal, oh, it's going to be able to go through everything. Metal detectors have to pick up metal. Guns have to have metal in them. So for people to go out and print a gun 3D, for people to go and make a gun in their house, these things, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. These things aren't going to happen very much.
The thing is with the printing of these guns, one of the argument is that now anybody will really be able to go through security in an airport claiming that since the gun is plastic. But that's not the case, right? Because in a 3D printed gun, there's metal parts, right?
Yes, you have to have metal parts to actuate the gun. I mean, and everybody's so worried about all these guns that are going to go out there and just everybody's going to have guns. Well, there's already illegal guns, and there's metal to fire everything. You got to have the ejector to be metal. You've got to have the firing pin to be metal, and it will be picked up. They make titanium guns. Titanium is a lighter. It's more durable. But there's still the firing pin in there can't be made out of titanium. It will bend. It will break. And everybody, this mass hysteria of all this stuff. Well, people have made zip guns for Lord knows how long. And just to explain what that is, if you get a piece of pipe that can fit a bullet into it, and you can literally take a rubber band and a washer, you can fire the gun. It's highly inaccurate. It's highly dangerous for the person firing it, but it can happen. But you don't hear of shootings with zip guns. You're not going to, this mass explosion of 3D printed guns is not going to cause an uproar of this stuff. And, going back to that, to me, it's not even really worrisome of a discussion because as everybody's terrified, you can get guns legally, illegally. It's not even about that. It's about the mindset. And so you've got, who was the illegal immigrant who used a chainsaw on the lady.
I know.
And it's a sick mind. It's not a weapon that you can, whether you can create it in your house or whether you can go to the store and buy it. You have to have the mindset to not use it on someone.
Well, luckily, if Judge Kavanaugh get confirmed to the Supreme Court, I think the Second Amendment is safe for the next few decades. But just in the case that he might not be confirmed, and God forbid that the Democrats take control of the House or the Senate, what do you envision the future of the Second Amendment to be like?
I think, and even Bill Clinton said you can't take guns. You can try. They do these so-called assault weapon bans. Now, there's no such thing as an assault weapon. It doesn't exist. Now, they have what they call an assault weapon, and there's the fully semi-automatic, which is in itself just ridiculous. But that's their target. Their target is they're going to start with these terrible, terrible guns because they're weapon grade, or they're military grade, which they're not military grade. The military does not use AR-15s.
Yeah.
AR does not stand for assault rifle, like everybody tells you. AR stands for Armor Light Rifle. So the people who came out with it, that was their Model 15. It's an Armor Light Rifle. That's what it is. That's what it stands for. It's a semi-automatic. People use them for hunting. But let's target that because it looks scary. You know, we're going to worry about this kind of stuff. And that's what they want to do. They want to get that foothold, and they want you to say, and everybody will approach you saying, like, why do you need that? Why do you need that gun? I didn't say I need it, but I can, and I want it, so I'm going to have it. And mine aren't up shooting everybody up. But yeah, getting back to what you were saying about the Second Amendment, it's always going to be under attack. You can have 100% Republicans, 100% Senate, you can have the Supreme Court, and there's always going to be somebody pushing for that because, going back to what we were talking about with communism, there's always that quest for power, and none of them can get to us while we stand behind the Second Amendment. So whether you love guns or hate guns, you're afraid of guns or you adore guns, you have got to stand behind the Second Amendment because that's what protects us. World War II, the Emperor of Japan said that he would never come, or no, it was one of the Germans of Japan, said he would never come to America because there was a shotgun behind every blade of grass. So that is our original homeland security, and if it scares the crap out of the Russians and it scares the crap out of the Chinese, don't you think that it's probably a good idea for us to have it? And if it scares the crap out of the people who are coming in and saying, I want to take over your country, whether I do it politically or whether I do it with force, I think it's something we need to have, and I think everybody needs to go out and find a place to shoot.
Well, I think that in this matter and in so many other matters, one of the things that's really scary is the amount of misinformation that is spread. And the thing is, when somebody watches the news, see, and they listen and watch CNN or MSNBC or whatever, they really think that whatever they're watching or listening through the broadcast is the truth. And that is a big problem for the culture, and in a way that most people don't really know what truth is anymore. And that is affecting the way people perceive the underlying issues that are at the bottom of all of these topics.
Yeah, it gets back to when you see it and you just run out and tell it. You know, how many times have we heard Betty White's died? You know, until you start doing the research, oh, nope, turns out somebody just put that up there. Every story that I look at, I verify at least 2, maybe 3 of reliable sources and find out what's reliable to you. You want to believe CNN? Go ahead. You want to believe NBC? But find someone else to do that with. You've got all these videos of the police going out and shooting people and beating people down. Go try to find a video that's longer than 45 seconds, because usually you're going to see the cause and effect to that sort of thing. Don't sit here and even what we're sitting here discussing. By all means, go out there and challenge it. Go look it up for yourself. Look up the facts. But don't just let them sit here and tell you that, like, A is B and B is C. Verify what those words are, what that percentage is. When Clinton went through and they did their weapons ban for a little bit, they started claiming that mass shootings went down, and they had the statistics for it. However, they happened to change that mass shootings went from used to be 4 or more people, then they moved it to 6 or more people for that specific thing. So while they cut out anybody 4 or 5 shootings, cut that part out, mass shootings goes down. All you have to do is change the data, and that'll change your percentage. So look up what people are saying.
Well, it's amazing, but we've been doing this for almost half an hour this time around. It's amazing how times fly by so inexorably fast, right? Jake, what do we envision for the next, for the weeks to follow? We need to keep working on finding the proper format for this show.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah,
Main thing is like if there's anything that anybody wants to hear about or any topics that we comes up in the week. News changes every day. As you said, everything will roll back into itself. So I think we're going to try to hit the hot button topics. And you've got the old faithfuls as well, as we were talking. You've got the gun ban. You've got religious freedom. You've got abortion. You've got the political scheme goes crazy. But also we want to get into some of the non-politics too, some of the fun stuff like movies and all that kind of thing, because this is kind of a downer sometimes.
well, as we discussed, this video is going to be posted on Facebook and soon will be also posted on YouTube. And like Jay says, you have any comment, you have any suggestion, feel free to make a comment on the comment section on Facebook and also on YouTube. Thank you.